Welcome to Pod Key NBA, where this offseason somehow keeps getting even weirder. LeBron's future feels wide open again. The new cap rules are squeezing everybody, and even one of the biggest trades on the board is stuck in legal limbo. So this is one of those NBA weeks where the headlines are fun, and the fine print is doing real damage. The LeBron story still starts with one very LeBron phrase: personal happiness, or as Rich Paul framed it, a bucket of happiness. Which is vague on purpose, but it also matters, because if the standard is happiness instead of one clean basketball reason, then almost any destination can make sense. Denver keeps coming up because the fit is fascinating. LeBron with Jokic and Jamal Murray would give you two elite passers sharing the floor in a way we really haven't seen. Golden State is the other obvious one, mostly because people still can't quit the idea of LeBron and Steph finally doing this as teammates instead of scene partners in finals history. And then there's Cleveland, where the basketball case is only part of it. There's legacy, nostalgia, documentary energy, and that feeling that LeBron always understands the size of the story he's creating. Other teams get mentioned too, from Miami to Philly to Minnesota, plus a few dark horses. Because if the pitch is some mix of lifestyle, fun, role, flexibility, and title odds, different teams can sell different versions of that. That's why this doesn't feel like a normal free agency read. Maybe he wants the cleanest title path. Maybe he wants a short deal and low usage role. Maybe he wants the most interesting ending. Rich Paul is a huge part of why this never stays quiet. The hints, the public appearances, the whiteboard stuff, all of it keeps the market moving and gives him leverage beyond just LeBron. Even the ridiculous fan ideas tell you something. People were floating mercenary seasons, one-day signings, all kinds of theater, because LeBron's market power is still big enough to make fantasy sound halfway discussable for a minute. Hovering over all of this is the new CBA, especially the second apron, which has basically become a virtual hard cap for teams trying to stack stars. Front offices are looking at these giant salaries and realizing you can't just collect max contracts and sort out the depth later is now. And it's expensive. One number that jumped out this offseason: only 25 or 415 players changed teams. That tells you how frozen parts of the market have become. Teams would rather keep their own guys on extensions than go shopping outside. And the middle class of free agency keeps getting squeezed. You also see the gamesmanship around offer sheets and matching windows, where teams can use that 48-hour delay to stall things out. It's legal, but it makes the whole market feel like traffic with one open lane. The bigger lesson is that optionality has become the word every executive wants to say with a straight face. Shorter deals, staggered contracts, less long-term cap concentration, more escape hatches. That cap pressure sits right in the middle of the Jalen Brown trade conversation. Boston's front office basically framed it as a flexibility move. If roughly 70% of your cap is tied up in two players, eventually something gives. The pushback is simple too. Brown is an all-NBA caliber player. So if you're moving somebody like that, the return and the timing had better look crystal clear. In this case, a lot of people still have questions. There were also signs this wasn't purely spreadsheet stuff. Public comments and Brown's own statements made it seem like the relationship had frayed, and those things tend to matter more than teams admit at first. Now add Donovan Mitchell's extension in Cleveland, around 4 years, and roughly $270 to $273 million depending on the report, and you see the same league-wide tension. Cleveland gets certainty with its star, but later in the deal you're talking about a massive cap hit. Something like 37% of the cap by the early 2030s. That's where analysts start using words like albatross. Maybe that sounds harsh now, but it's really about what happens when great players age and the contract doesn't shrink with them. A lot of these arguments then get dressed up as analytics debates. And honestly, people use that word way too loosely. If someone says analytics hates a player, the next question should be, okay, which numbers? True shooting, on-off, plus-minus, something else? Jalen Brown is a good example, because some advanced metrics have always been cooler on him, than traditional evaluations or the eye test. The reasonable answer is still the boring one. You need both. Numbers give context, film gives context, and front offices get in trouble when they pretend one side can fully replace the other. Meanwhile, the Kawhi Leonard situation has turned into a full legal and cap mess. The proposed Clippers to Raptors trade was paused, and there's reportedly been a cap circumvention investigation hanging over it for about 10 months, which is an absurdly long time for something this huge to stay unresolved. The scary part is the range of outcomes. Fines are on the table. Pick penalties are possible, and in the most dramatic version, the trade could be unwound or Kawhi's contract could be voided. That said, voiding a star contract would almost certainly lead to a fight with the Players Association. So a lot of people around the league think fines or trade penalties are more likely than the nuclear option. Still, it's a terrible look for everyone involved, because once league lawyers are telling teams to be cautious, and you still move forward, the embarrassment starts billing by the hour. Elsewhere around the league, this offseason has been busy in that very modern way, where every transaction comes with three-side arguments. The Giannis move to Miami got framed as a huge swing with championship upside, but also one that cost a ton and leaves very little room for error. There was also that sprawling 6-team trade that moved John Collins along with a pile of role players and picks, which felt like half the league trying to solve a Sudoku puzzle together. The Lakers made one of the more striking bets by acquiring Walker Kessler at a steep price, reportedly 4 years and either $32.5 million total or much pricier depending on the source, plus 2 unprotected firsts going out. You also had Rui Hachimura landing with the Clippers for 2 years and $28 million. DeAndre Ayton going to Washington for Jaden Hardy and seconds. The Knicks adding Andre Drummond on a cheap 1-year deal, and Charlotte quietly hoarding second-rounders like they're canned goods before a storm. And on the sentimental side, Kyle Lowry got the 1-day retirement contract, with a jersey retirement planned, which is one of the few off-season transactions everybody can agree is nice. Summer League gave us a more fun story, which is that this rookie group looks deeper and more polished than a lot of recent classes. Darren Peterson got the most breakout buzz. People loved the advanced scoring package, the pull-up threes, the mid-range craft, and the way he moves. Some scouts are talking about top 10 potential in a hurry. Cam Boozer also stood out because at 6'8", he has real size, real passing feel, and the kind of finishing strength that makes people describe his legs like tree trunks, which is very scout language and also somehow accurate. AJ DeBonsa had one of the loudest debuts with 27-point nights and all the athletic flash you'd expect from a number 1 pick, even if the turnovers and foul trouble still need cleaning up. Beyond those names, there was real interest in Merez Johnson as a mobile 6'9" defender, Darius Acuff as a scorer, Kevin Boopy Miller Jr. as a creative point guard people immediately attached themselves to, and sleepers like Ryan Conwell and Jalen Swain. The best note from people in the gym was simple. Watch the small gym games too. That's usually where Summer League actually feels alive. The larger mood around all of this is that player movement and cap mechanics are pulling against fan loyalty. When stars like LeBron might move late, when guys like Brown get traded before a relationship fully collapses, and when franchises lock into giant deals just to avoid losing talent for nothing, continuity gets harder to preserve. That's why you keep hearing ideas like homegrown cap discounts, tax relief, or other ways to make keeping drafted stars less punishing under the new system. Because fans still want to believe a core can actually stay together. And right now, the math keeps interrupting the romance. That's the roundup for today. Thanks for spending some time with Podkey NBA. The headlines are loud, but this offseason really is about leverage, flexibility, and who can still build something stable while the rules keep tightening. This episode was generated by Podkey. Create your own at podkey.fm.